You ever wondered if you had a rodent problem, but you weren't sure how to handle it? Well, I want to show you how you can easily identify if you do have critters in your attic, and then how to get rid of them. I'm Mark Holden. I'm a realtor, and I've also worked in and around the home construction industry for almost 30 years. So I want to help you not just to own a home, but how to maintain that home like a pro. Let's go up in the attic and check this out. My first clue was when I climbed into the attic a few weeks ago and I found a rat carcass sitting there waiting for me. That's the stain that he left. He was sitting right there. He was half decomposed. So I knew they must be coming in from somewhere. Whew, now that I'm in this nice hot attic sweating to death, I want to show you a couple things that you can look for once you're up in the attic. You can see off in the corner, those little glowing spots are bits of daylight that is coming through from the edges of the eaves. Now, you really shouldn't have light coming in from your attic. If you have soffit vents, in my house there are no soffits, but you might get a little ambient light coming in. But when you see light coming in from a corner someplace, often that means that you've got a gap somewhere outside and daylight's coming in. That's a potential access point for rodents. Here's another sure sign, and that's a rat trail through the insulation. Here's another surefire sign, and that's rodent droppings. These guys, unfortunately, aren't real courteous about where they do their business. All right, one more spot I want to show you. This is a side door going to the garage behind me. I filled that in with foam some years ago, that gap. We've had some foundation movement through the years, which we've corrected now, but still needs to be caulked. But if I go up and look right there, I mean, that hole's probably about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches long, and it's only maybe an inch wide, 3/4 inch wide, but that's enough. They don't need much to get in. You can see again some gaps, and I don't think any kind of rodents are getting into that gap. You're going to get geckos and cockroaches and everything else that, any kind of gaps like that, the cool air is going to come through. Feel cool air, I think there's water in there, and so that's where they come in. So it's just a great idea to do a little research, and it's something you can do yourself, just to walk around the house and just check it out and see where can stuff come in. And where there's a will, there's a way, and you just got to grab you a caulk and a caulk gun and get after it. Here's the corner. We were inside the attic and we saw the light coming through. There's a gap under there, and it's maybe 1/2 inch wide, and that's enough. They don't need a whole lot to come in. So I'm going to take my caulk gun and I'm going to caulk all up underneath that fascia board all the way down and around my house. So you can look up underneath. This is a fascia board, and you see I don't have any eaves on my house. Normally you have an eave that will, kind of stick out, maybe a foot or so. I don't have any. So I need to go around all that fascia board and caulk and make sure there are no gap or entry points for critters to get in. All right, I've got my caulk gun, I've got wet rag, I've got some gloves. You can see I've started right here. We can do another video lesson on caulking, and we'll caulk up all those gaps. You can see the corners underneath where I've caulked everywhere underneath the fascia board, and I've done that all the way down around the house. I finished all the caulking the other day, and it took me, about 6 hours to go around the house and get all that caulking done. So now I have all the gaps sealed up in my house. I found probably 3 or 4 areas that were at least potential areas that rats could be getting in. This is an ongoing thing with rats and squirrels and mice trying to get in your house. You have to be vigilant all the time, and it's a great idea probably every year to go around and just check, look around your house on the eaves and the soffits, see if you see anything that could be entry points. One of the places, if you have a gabled roof, and I see this all the time when we're out looking at houses with clients, is you'll see where the rodents can stand on the roof, essentially, in a nice comfortable position. You'll see scratch marks on the eaves, like underneath sides of soffits, and you'll on the fascia board, and like I said, especially on these gabled roof areas where it's just a nice, easy access for them. And if you leave it untended, they're eventually going to find their way in. You can hire some places that will come out, and they call it armoring your eaves, where in those access points, or really places that are vulnerable, they'll put sheet metal, and then you can paint over. So that's a great idea. Believe me, you live in the city, you don't see rats, but they are plenty present, and they're everywhere. They're not going anywhere. You just got to make sure they're not coming to your house. Another thing is just leaving your property in a condition that's not a welcome spot for rodents. If you go around, if you have stuff like brush piles sitting out, wood piles, piles of debris, anywhere that they can make home, and it won't take long. I had a